this when I was dealing with senior one. This word is supposed to be simultaneous equations. Word problems involving simultaneous equations. That's how it is supposed to be. I want you to pay maximum attention to what we are going to study today, because after this there will be assignment. So we have our first example, and we are saying in solving word problems on simultaneous equations, read the problem carefully and form an equation using the conditions that you are given in the problem or in the question. This question requires someone to first read the question very many times and understand it. Those who have just joined us, we are saying the topic is word problems involving simultaneous equations, not fractions. Word problems involving simultaneous equations. Our example is here. The cost of 2 pens and 5 books is 5,400. Cost of 2 pens and 5 books is 5,400. Meaning, if someone has 5,400, he can only buy 2 pens and 5 books. If the cost of 4 pens and 3 books is 5,200, we are saying if someone has 5,200, that person can buy 4 pens and 3 books. Find the cost of each pen and each book. So when you look at this question, you realize you have 2 unknowns. You don't know the cost of the pen and you don't know the cost of the book. That is the first thing you should think about. You don't know the cost of the pen and you don't know the cost of the book. But the information which we have given you is that if someone has 5,400, that person can buy 2 pens and 5 books. But if someone has 5,200, that fellow can buy 4 pens and 3 books. So the question is, find the cost of each pen and each book. And here is when we use the knowledge of simultaneous equations. I warned you there. I told you someone who cannot solve a simultaneous equation, you will find problems in mathematics always. So take this chance and use it very well. So how should we begin? Since we don't know the cost of pen and the cost of book, I have begun by saying let the cost of each pen be X and cost of each book be Y. Everyone can do that. Let the cost of each pen be X, because that's what the question is asking you. You don't know the cost of the pen, and you don't know the cost of the book. But the question tells you that if you have 5,400, you can buy 2 pens and 5 books, but you don't know their cost. So what does that mean? If I want 2 pens and each pen costs X, I will get 2 times X to get the cost of the pens. Each pen costs X shillings and I buy 2 pens. So I will get 2 times X and I got the cost of the pens. To get the cost of the books, if I buy 5 books and each book costs Y, I will get 5 times Y, and this will be the cost of books. So the cost of the pens plus the cost of the books, it gives you 5,400 from the question. The cost of 2 pens and 5 books is 5,400. 5,400. That's what it means, 5,400. So this becomes my equation 1 that I have formed. Please make sure that you understand this. Now, also, the cost of 4 pens and 3 books is 5,200. What does that mean? What does that mean? 5,200. It means that if each pen costs X shillings and each book costs Y shillings, it means 4 times the cost of pens, which is X, and that's why I'm having 4X here, plus 3 books times the cost of books, which is Y. I'm going to get 5,200, and this gives me my equation 2. So I have 2 equations. This is my first equation for 2 pens and 5 books, but I don't know the cost of the pen and books. That's why I said let the cost of pen be X and the cost of books be Y. So that means 2 times the cost, which is X, 2X, plus 5Y, it gives me 5,400. And also 4 pens times the cost of pens, which is X, 4X, plus 3 times the cost of pens of books, which is Y, 4X plus 3Y. The answer is 5,200. So these are my 2 equations. So what do I have to do to find the cost of each pen and each book? I have to solve for X and Y. So these are my simultaneous equations, and now I'm going to solve them using any one method, the desired method of my choice. So I've taught you 3 methods so far. One is elimination, substitution, and using the graph. But for me, I've decided, or I've chosen to use elimination here. For you, in your free time, you can try to use substitution and find out if you get the same answer. So these are my 2 equations. You remember what we did in elimination. I want to begin by eliminating X. That means I will multiply by 4 in equation 1, then I will multiply 2 in equation 2. And that's what I've done here. Times 4 here, then times 2. And what do I get? 4 times 2, it becomes 8x. 4 times 5, it becomes 20y. And 4 times 5,400. I told you to come with a calculator when you are coming for math. So those with calculators, 4 times 5,400. Do you get 21,600?
21,600.
Yes, that should be the answer. So this is now after multiplying by 4. Then when I multiply by 2, this will be 8x. You can see that. 2 times 3, it is 6y. Then 2 times 5,200. Calculator again, it gives you 10,400.
10,400.
Exactly. So what shall we do? We are eliminating x, remember. Now this is, I've made this 8x and this 8x. So I will just subtract. Please learn how to solve these simultaneous equations, for you are never going to avoid them in any math exam. So 20y minus 6y, the calculator should give you 14y. Then 21,600 minus 10,400, I think the calculator gives you 12,200. 12,200. Calculators, I think that's the answer. Then, of course, we divide by 14 both sides to get y. Calculators, I think the answer is 800. The answer should be 800. So, the value of y is 800. And remember, we want x and y, so we can substitute y equal to 800 in any one equation of our choice. For example, I think this was equation 1. that we are using. So we are substituting y is equal to 800 in equation 1. And when we do that, where there is y, we put 800. I remain with 2x. This is 4,000. When I take it to the other side, it becomes a minus. Eh? So 5,400 minus this 4,000, the calculator gives me 1,400. And I divide by x by 2. By 2, my x is equal to 700. My x is equal to 700. So that is the value of, that is the cost. So you had said let the cost of pen be x and the cost of book be y. That means a pen costs 700 and a book costs 800. That's why with 5,400 you are able to buy 2 pens and 5 books. So that is how we answer those questions. Find the cost of 3 pens and 2 books. This is very simple. You have already found that the cost of a pen is the cost of a pen, which is x, is 800, and the cost of book is the cost of a book is 800 and the cost of pen is 700, which is x. So to get the cost of 3 pens and 2 books, it will be 3 times cost of pen, which is x, plus 2 times cost of books, which is 800, and my answer is 3 from the calculator. My answer is 3,700 shillings. I need to put here shillings, 3,700, yes, as the answer. Now, if n, find the value of n. If shillings 99,000 can buy any books and any pens, this is very simple. If you want to buy any books, that means you get n times the cost of books. If you want to buy any pens, you get n times the cost of pens. And the cost of pens is, the cost of a pen is 700. So this should become 700 times n, which is 700n. Then plus cost of book is 800. 800 times n is 800n. But the person has 9,000. So you add and equate to 9,000, and I get my value of n as 6. You can confirm with your calculators to find out if that is the answer. Yes, and I think it is. So that has been example 1, and I think for those who have started with me, you have understood it and how to go about it, which means you'll be able to do the assignment on that example. We are going to look at example 2, then I will leave some time for you to ask questions. Now that means those who have just come, pay attention to example 2 and understand it, because the working is the same. The working is the same, but you can be preparing your question where you are not understanding. Example 2 is here. A total of 120 tickets were sold for 570,000. 120 tickets. Let's say you are going for a flight, you are going to America, and 120 tickets cost 570,000. The cost of each adult ticket was 5,000, and that of each child was 4,000. So we have 2 classes of people who are going for the flight. One of them, we have adult class and child class, but they pay different amounts of money. The tickets are sold at different amounts. But we are being told that the cost of the adult ticket is 5,000 and the cost of the child ticket is 4,000. Find how many tickets of each child were sold. So you don't know the number of tickets of adult that were sold, and you don't know the number of tickets of child that were sold. But you have one thing that you know, that the total number of tickets that are sold are 120. But you don't know the number of tickets for adults and the number of tickets for children. But you know their cost. Each ticket is 5,000 and each ticket for a child is 4,000. But if 120 tickets are sold, then they will cost this amount. So a bright student like you should begin by saying, let X be the number of adult tickets and Y is the number of children tickets. Now, what does that mean? A total of 120 tickets. It means when we get the number of tickets for children plus the number of tickets for adult, you are going to get the answer as 120. So my first equation will be a total of 120 tickets, and the number of tickets for adults is X. The number of tickets for children is Y, meaning X plus Y is equal to 120. That becomes my equation 1. Then another important aspect, you know the cost of all the tickets is 570,000, but each ticket for adult is 5,000. But the number of tickets for adults, you have called them X. That means the cost of tickets for adults is going to be the amount for each ticket, which is 5,000 times the number of tickets, which is X. That's how I'm getting my 5,000 what? X. Then the tickets for children, each ticket costs 4,000, and meaning it means that we shall have 4,000 times the number of tickets for children, which is Y. We have 4,000 Y. So the total amount that is going to be spent on tickets is going to be 570. So 5,000 X plus 4,000 Y is equal to 570 shillings. So this becomes my equation 2 about the cost. So my equation 1 is on the number of tickets, and my equation 2 is about the cost of tickets. Now when I get these two equations, 1 and 2, I can now solve them simultaneously. Now for me, I've chosen to use substitution this time, and I'm saying from equation 1, which is this, if I make X the subject like we did, you agree with me that X will be equal to 120 minus Y. When Y crosses equal signs, it becomes a negative. And that's why I'm having that. From equation 1, X is equal to 120 minus Y. Then I substitute this answer. If I use the equation 1, keep remembering that if I use the equation 1 to make X the subject, now I should substitute this value in equation 2. That means in equation 2, which is this, where there is X, I put 120 minus Y. And I'm going to have 5,000 into 120 minus Y plus 4,000 Y equal to that one. And now solving for Y won't be a problem to you, students, When I multiply by opening bracket, this one becomes 600K, the way you usually call it. And when I multiply here, it becomes 5,000 or 5KY. And this becomes 4K I equal to this. When I collect like terms, negative 5,000 plus 4,000, the answer is negative 1,000. Then when this 6,000 crosses equal signs, when this 6,000 crosses equal signs, it becomes a negative. And when I subtract, I get negative 30,000. Calculators, help me get this minus 600,000 and find out if this is the answer. And when I divide by y, when I divide by 1,000, both sides, I get my value of y as 30. And if y is equal to 30, I can now comfortably substitute it in equation 1. And when I do that, I'm going to get the value of x as 120 minus 30. Remember, 30 is the value of y, and the answer is 90. So what does that mean? The tickets for adult are 90 and the tickets for children are 30. So with those two examples, I want to think